Hey, what's up, sports bettors? Matt here with OddsJam. What I'm going to be doing in this video is giving you 3 sharp player prop bets to lock in for Thursday night football between the Dolphins and the Bengals. Pretty good game we have going on here tomorrow night between these two teams, Dolphins at the Bengals. I do find it kind of funny that the Bengals are the favorite, even though they are 1-2 against a 3-0 Dolphins team. Now, it makes sense because the Dolphins are the away team here. So they're going to have more of a disadvantage being on a short week on a Thursday night. The Dolphins, the defense also just had to play 90 snaps against the Buffalo Bills in their last game in the 120-degree heat in Miami. So their defense could still be reeling from that. And then, of course, all this injury news you see here from Tua Tagovailoa, undecided, unsure if he's going to play or not. But I am going to go forward with this, assuming that Tua does play. I will say that they haven't released a ton of Dolphins player props. I'm assuming because of this issue with Tua Tagovailoa. I keep saying Tyreek Hill because his name is right there. But that's just something we'll have to monitor. Before I get started, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel. We got a ton of stuff, ton of awesome content on this YouTube channel, including live streams from me, from Alex, from Randall, giving out all of our best bets as well. And then, of course, just standard YouTube videos, giving out my 4 best bets for every NFL Sunday, 7 and 5 on those 4 so far, giving out 3 best bets on the Sweat the Bet podcast. So if you do want to get my best bets and Andrew Kim, aka the Parlay Doc, we each give out 3 best bets for the NFL, for the upcoming NFL week. That week 4 episode is actually out now. So if you are watching this video and you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate that. Sweat the Bet presented by OddsJam. But as I mentioned in this video, we are giving out 3 player props, assuming the odds don't change and I can get these in. So, of course, when I'm starting my betting process, looking at, logging in, ready to place some bets, first thing I do, always, I go to oddsjam.com. OddsJam provides betting opportunities if you go on the EV page where you are consistently gaining an edge over the sportsbook if you are placing these bets. It's an easy way to make money in the long term is by placing positive EV bets. As we can see, week 3 was my worst week for the NFL. Last week was great, this week is going great so far. Had a great Monday night. Had some great baseball bets that hit, some of them given out on the live stream. So when I went live yesterday, so just a reason to tune into those. But positive EV betting is a way to make money in the long run. So the way it works is it's pretty cool. The OddsJam software collects just thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of data points determining which sportsbooks do the best job at pricing odds, which ones are the sharpest. Then, with that information, they give a big back test, or they back tested that information, and then they came up with a weighted average to determine the no vig odds. The vig being the juice that sportsbooks price up odds, how they make their money. They charge a vig. OddsJam removes that for you. So this first one here, we're looking at Joe Burrow under 24.5 completions. So this is a play that Joe Burrow has hit in 2 of the 3 games so far. He missed it in week 1, then he went under in weeks 2 and 3. It is a little bit concerning fading Burrow just from what we know about him, but that offense still just simply hasn't been able to get going. They still have the second worst offense in the entire NFL. Tons of offensive line issues that I don't think are solved after one good game against the Jets, which wasn't really that good when you dig into the stats. So for football reasons, immediately, I understand it. From a math perspective, obviously, I like it because it's plus EV. The no vig line prices this at about minus 108. And you can get it on BetMGM at minus 105. So that gap between these 2 numbers, that is where you get your positive expected value from. Another reason why I like this, so if you click into a play, right, you just click in, it pulls up where every sportsbook is pricing a play at. So we see BetMGM minus 105 is a plus EV play, right? And let's just look at where most of the other sportsbooks price this. FanDuel prices this at minus 122, the over 24.5 at minus 108. Favoring the under, basically saying the under is the more likely scenario. Tipico and Caesars do not, but BetOnline, another sharp sportsbook, same thing. Under at minus 118, over at minus 110, favoring the under. Fox Bet, same thing. And then this one is the most important one, Pinnacle / the OddsJam line. This OddsJam line you see here is pulled from Pinnacle Sportsbook. The under at minus 136, the over at plus 103, heavily favoring the under more than any other sportsbook. So the sharpest sportsbook in the world is telling you that they think that this bet goes under at a much, much higher rate. It's much more likely to go under than every other book, which is a good sign. Another cool thing, recently, OddsJam added this to give you your recommended bet size. This is based on your bankroll. So if you haven't input your bankroll, just click this button, go to your stats, go to bet settings, add your bankroll. So this is telling me to put $80 on it. I would love to on BetMGM, but I would imagine they won't let me get $80 on this one. We will see. Fortunately, they have me limited, so let me place this bet. So they'll let me get $2.01 on this one. Very nice of them. But for those of you at home, it's roughly a 0.8% of your bankroll play. If you want to round up or down, which is what I normally do. I knew I wouldn't be able to get the full amount on BetMGM, but normally I'll just round to a full unit or to half a unit. So that's the first play. Joe Burrow under 24.5 completions. This next one I really, really like. We're looking at Hayden Hurst to go over 25.5 receiving yards. So this one, even though it's telling me to put 45, I'm just going to go ahead and round this up to 50. Hayden Hurst over 25.5 receiving yards, just rounding this up to 50, putting a half unit on this one. But I really, really, really like this play. So Hayden Hurst, the play is minus 101 on Caesars. You saw me lock that in. The OddsJam line with the VIG removed prices this at about minus 103, giving you 30 cents of juice, which is pretty good. With anything below 40 for a player prop is good to go. But the main thing that I like about this one, similar logic to the Joe Burrow one, but even to a more degree, every other book is telling you that the over is the more likely scenario, except for Caesars, and then Bet Rivers is the other one. But minus 120, over, the under is at minus 110. DraftKings has the same thing. Bet Online, another sharp book, same thing, over at minus 116, under at minus 111. The OddsJam line, Pinnacle Sportsbook, same thing, minus 120, under at minus 110, and then Play Up, minus 119, the under at minus 110. So every book is telling you that we think that the more likely scenario is that this total, the Hayden Hurst receiving yards total goes over 25.5. Another reason why I like this one, the Dolphins defense is generally good at stopping the run, but where they struggle is the pass. And where they struggle specifically is guarding against tight ends. Now, a lot of that had to do with their week 2 game against Mark Andrews when they kind of got toasted. But if you just look at their advanced analytics in terms of how they guard against tight ends, they're one of the worst teams in the NFL specifically against tight ends. So 25.5 is not a ton for Hayden Hurst. Granted, he's hit this in one of the 3 games so far, but I could see this being a game in which he gets targeted more because of how much the Dolphins, A, are good at stopping the run, and B, struggle against the pass and specifically against tight ends. So this is the second player prop that I have locked in. Both of these plays were found using OddsJam, using the positive expected value page. $50 on this one, adding it to my bet tracker. And the last one I found from line shopping. So in this last part is completely free. If you want to line shop for completely free, you can. If you go to sports, you go to NFL, you open up a game in a new tab, it pulls up all of the odds for the game, which is really cool. So you can pull up the money line odds, best money line if you want to get the Bengals at minus 195. There's a little bit of value there, not much on the Dolphins. For the point spread, it's telling you that most books are having this at Bengals minus 4, but you can get them at minus 3.5. Granted, with some extra juice, minus 120 odds. The total is at about 46.5, 47. Again, if you want to take the over 46.5, you can. No value there with the OddsJam line pricing that at minus 112. But you can also do it for player props. So if you click this button, it has all the player props on one screen and then some other markets as well. So like if you want touchdown scores, stuff like that. So I pulled up the player props specifically for Joe Burrow passing yards. Now I hit the under 273.5 in a live stream yesterday. That has looked good over the course of time because no book is giving you 273 anymore. It's been bet down. But I do think this is a really good middle to take him to go over 266.5 passing yards. Because just look where every other book prices it. Majority of books have it 269.5, 271.5, 272.5. 2 of the sharpest sports books in the world, Bet Online and the OddsJam line, have it at 271.5, a full 5 yards higher than what we can get it at on FanDuel. And Pinnacle Sportsbook specifically is juicing this towards the over ever so slightly. Over at minus 117, under at minus 113, telling you that even at 5 yards higher, at 271.5, Pinnacle thinks that the more likely scenario is that it goes over. telling you that this is a good play, getting it over 266.5 on FanDuel. So I will go ahead and put a half unit on this one as well. And then for football reasons, I mentioned the Dolphins, good against the run, struggle against the pass. Now, I know it seems kind of counterintuitive taking his under completions and over passing yards. What I will say is Dolphins give up a lot of big plays, especially against the Ravens. They gave up a ton of big plays. Last week against the Bills was an uncharacteristic Bills game where they were much more efficient and methodical moving the ball down the field than we normally see. My guess is that the Dolphins really tried to take away the deep ball because that's what Josh Allen likes to do. Made him move the ball up and down the field, move the chains, which worked. I mean, the Bills had almost 500 yards of total offense, but the Dolphins got the win. But regardless, I'm just betting on value. So the Joe Burrow over 266.5 passing yards. Very, very valuable play. I put half a unit on it. So let me just add this one to my bet tracker. Joe Burrow, I put $50 on this one. So those are going to be the 3 player prop bets for today. It's Joe Burrow under 24.5 passing completions, Hayden Hurst over 25.5 receiving yards, and then Joe Burrow over 266.5 passing yards as well. And that's it. Those are my 3 plays. So if you're tailing these, let me know. Would love to hear it. Appreciate you guys watching, and have a good one.